Have you experienced narcissists in your life? Or do you even understand what a narcissist looks like? If you're not sure, but you know that you have now or have had relationships in the past that just weren't healthy, then perhaps this podcast can shed some light for you. Welcome to my podcast, Giving You a Fresh Start After Trauma. I'm Regina Sanchez, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Starting over after trauma can be a blend of real pain and some hope, sadness and then some joy. It's a mixture of moments of faith and then moments of fear. There will be times when you'd rather not remember, but then times of excitement. You may fail along the way, but if you keep moving forward, your discouragement will turn to peace. Some days you may feel like giving up, and other days you're running in your race to victory. That, my friend, is a journey of having a fresh start after trauma. And if you are in any of these places and need some encouragement, you have stopped at the right place. Let's journey together to giving you a fresh start after trauma. Join me now to be revived, rejuvenated, and restored to a place of living free from your past emotional pain. Hi, friends. Welcome today to my podcast, Giving You a Fresh Start After Trauma. Let me say that if you have experienced narcissists in your life and you have not received healing, then you are more than likely dealing with trauma from it. Sadly, I can say that I had narcissists for much of my life around me. You know, when people reach out for life coaching issues, there's a few areas that they're looking to make changes in their life. Perhaps maybe they are overwhelmed with fear, worry, anxiety, and stress. Now, having some of these issues in our life is normal. It's just when they reside in our bodies continually that it becomes an issue. And some come for coaching because they live with depression or they have negative, confessions about themselves or about life, or they live in self-condemnation. Depression does not need to be part of your life or their lives. And it's not antidepressants that are necessarily needed to be rid of it. If you are depressed, it's not because your body is short or depleted on antidepressants. Maybe those pills are a stopgap, but they should not be used long term. Now, there's some people that come for coaching because of emotional imbalances that they want to be rid of, and they have drawn a line in the sand and said, enough, I'm ready to be coached out of this. And because of prior unhealed trauma, their body is full of emotional imbalances. And the big concerning thing is that 85 to 90% of dis-ease is from emotional imbalances. Something we all need to tend to and not let linger in our bodies. We've also become a society where dis-ease or ill health is now the norm. Sadly, we have a healthcare system that is really a sick care system. Why does insurance not cover preventative measures, but only sick issues? Why do they let it get that far? Why does insurance not cover, things like getting a coach to learn new lifestyle issues, right? No, they only wait until you are sick and then they'll step in. Or why are people given the solution of popping a pill as opposed to making lifestyle changes? For me, I believe that every MD office needs to have a health coach. So these are things to definitely think on. We are a nation that spends the most money in health-related technology, healthcare, prescription medications, diagnostic tools. Yet we are the sickest nation. That is something to sit back and take a deep breath and maybe try to get some answers to. Well, finally, an issue that draws people to life coaching is having a life that's been trodden over, and they are done with allowing it. And this is the last issue that I want to discuss today, this last issue on being trodden over, having a life that's been trodden over. And let me tell you, I can truly speak on this because it's been a very strong part of my life. For much of my life, I've had narcissists around me, and some of them were very influential people in my life. Sadly, my ex-husband was diagnosed as one when we were going through our divorce, and I didn't even fully understand what it meant at the time, other than he was a self-centered individual. But these past 3 years, I have become more educated on narcissism, and my life with him finally all began to make sense. Once I understood the characteristics and the behavior of a narcissist, I discovered why my life with my ex-husband was so tumultuous, and frankly, why it ended. Growing up, as I said, I was surrounded by this characteristic, and it groomed me to marry one. But as I've studied narcissism, I can now see our world is full of them. And I don't think we can really get away from it, but we can at least not marry one or reevaluate those in our life that are narcissists, or even learn how to navigate dealing with one. So you might say, okay, Regina, what's a narcissist? Well, I love the way Janine Medji has defined it. I think her definition covers it all in my eyes anyway. And as she says, a narcissist is someone who is chronically and unapologetically entitled, arrogant, exploitive, lacking in empathy, grandiose in their self-estimation, high conflict, manipulative, envious, easily angered, deceptive, incessantly needy for validation from others to regulate their sense of self. And that is the definition, as I said, by Janine Medji, who she is a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, and a great person to follow. Well, Shanine's description described what I had gone through in my marriage and in other relationships. And as I began to study this behavior, all those pieces, they fell into place as to why I felt the way I did as a person, as an individual. Because a narcissist is a master manipulator, and they can be so confident in their lies or manipulation that many times I felt like I was the one going crazy. And, I personally have a very discerning spirit. And so I would be discerning something with my ex, let's say, and he was so masterful at lying and so convincing that I put it on myself that there was something wrong with me. What was wrong with me? I was constantly asking myself that. Then I'd have to run to other people to process what was going on because I needed somebody to tell me that I was on balanced ground. It was a life of insanity. So what did having narcissists in my life do to me? Well, I lost myself. I lost who I was. I lost my identity. I was insecure, and I found it difficult to have courage to do things. I felt like I was defective. There was something wrong with me. I wasn't a supportive wife. I was, when I would call him out or them out on their behavior, I was considered judgmental and so forth. And there were times when I hated my ex, and then I would beat myself up because I'm a Christian, and hating is not a characteristic or a fruit of God's Spirit. So it was a chaotic life. It was a painful life. When the list would go on with how I felt. And, bottom line, I had a life that was trodden over. And this went on for years. And yeah, there were times when things were stable, but those only lasted for so long. Because you see, a narcissist has to have chaos in their life, and they're masterful at creating it, but take no credit for their creation. It's always someone else's fault. Well, what finally gave me the courage to leave? I believe it was the Lord. And He was with me each step of the way, even those times I was ignoring Him. When I finally did have the strength to leave, God was very much part of my life, because I believe if it wasn't for Him to have given me that courage to say no more, I'd probably still be in it. And I can just imagine who I would be at this point of my life if I stayed in that narcissistic relationship and it didn't get healed. I actually heard these words one night in my spirit as I walked into a room. Actually, I think I was walking into my husband's office at the time. And I heard these words, and he said, "Enough is enough." And it sparked me to some action. It sparked me to start moving and doing something. And at that point, the Lord instructed me to call 5 different Christian couples to pray for me. Their prayers and encouragement gave me the ability to help stop the insanity in my life. You know, sometimes people have to shake us out of what we're tolerating. And this one particular night, I was on the phone with my friend's husband who had called to give me some information. And at that moment, my ex was, out of control, being crazy. And when I expressed what was happening to my friend, his words to me were, "Regina, pack a bag, take the kids, and get out." He was so stern in his voice, it actually shook me. It shook me awake, and it propelled me to finally get out of the situation. I was so used to my ex's erratic behavior and even though I didn't like it, I tolerated it. It took someone else to shake me out of that chaos. And like I said, cause me to begin to take steps of action. You know, there was so much healing that I needed from the trauma of my marriage, but God is good and He is faithful. And His love and His protection never left me. And it enabled me to walk out of my tumultuous journey into wholeness. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It was long and painful, but I came out the other side more than a conqueror. And so can you. You know, sometimes we get so used to our circumstances that we don't have a barometer on the situation, and nor do we know this isn't healthy. And sometimes we need a shaking and a hearing another voice giving us the right perspective. Don't let your life be trodden over any longer. If you can't do it alone, then reach out to someone who can walk alongside you. Being free of living with narcissism is something I wished I had done sooner, or at least understood it and what its characteristics were and how to navigate the behavior. Because sometimes you just can't navigate it. You have to leave it. So take some time and reflect right now on the relationships in your life. Do any of them seem to have those characteristics that Shanine described? If so, consider making some changes. Doesn't always mean you have to leave, but at least learn how you will not be trodden over by this behavior. And the first step is to recognize that this behavior is in your life with others, and then make the decision to make a change. Well, friends, I hope this message gave you some encouragement, shed some light on an issue that unfortunately our society is full of narcissists. And like I said, we can't always remove ourselves from them, but we can learn how to set boundaries. So be blessed, be encouraged, and let me know if you would like more information on what doctors and coaches I follow to learn more about narcissism and how to either remove it from my life when I can or learn how to set those boundaries. Well, let me ask you, did a friend send you this podcast? If so, there's a link below for you to click to continue hearing my messages and get the notifications. And by doing that, you will receive your first step towards your fresh start. And then you'll be on my list of Revivors to receive weekly encouragement, love, and support. And if you have a question, my email link is below, and I respond to every email I receive. And who knows, maybe your question will be one of my podcasts. And if you would like some help in being coached with this specific issue or any of the issues that I've mentioned in the beginning of my podcast, then there's a link below to click more to get more information on learning about my coaching program. I just want to read something a client sent to me the other day after we had our session. She said, "I want you to know that after we hung up, I put on some Jewish worship music on Pandora. I found myself singing, playing terribly the drum, and dancing. So I thank you for this. I think the Lord is going to use this time to do exactly what your workshop says, to release and let go of the trauma that has accumulated in my body. So I give him praise, and I thank you for your obedience and kindness." I loved getting that message. It's so encouraging when I know that, the work that I'm doing is ministering to somebody. My heart is to let the Lord work through me to help you. So be blessed, be encouraged, know that you're loved. He loves you, I love you. And I hope that this message helps. God bless, and thanks for listening. Thank you, my friends, for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I hope you found it uplifting and encouraging, and that it guides you to having peace, love, joy, and health in your life. If you would like more information on my coaching programs, then go to my website, reginasanchez.com, where you can see the services I offer to give you a fresh start after trauma. You can also find my book, Can I Have Your Heart, Daddy, on Amazon. It is my personal journey back to the heart of my Heavenly Father. Be blessed, be encouraged, and know that you are loved.